Nice and loose. Right, a little bit front and back. It's great, and to side to side. Sit to rotation. Perfect. Great. Just take it a little into the head. Roll. This way. Change the direction. Keep rolling front and back with the neck. Nice. Go into the shoulders. Reach. Going forwards. Send them out. Great, rolling out the arms, just the shoulders. Okay, move away. Great, take it to the elbow. Get the other side. And both together. Shaking the wrists out a little bit. Keep rolling the hips. Good, into the knees. Great, bend and straighten. Right, and just rolling out the ankles. Nice and gently working the toes. Change inside. Right, and the toes fold over. Right, okay, working the feet side to side. Straight up onto the toes, sinking back onto the heels. Just finishing with the fingers, spreading them out nice and fast. Right, making fists. Great, and then just working with a grip, working with a 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒄 movement, and try and kind of include the whole arm in it. So you're rolling from the elbow, forearm. Have a grip where you can kind of roll through as well with the arm. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Both sides. Great, and then just play with the position of the hand, so you can kind of play with kind of spreading it out, then rolling it up, so kind of rolling it this way. But any of them work with a sense of kind of spiraling, not only like the center of the hand, but think about the kind of the whole motion is going to be a kind of spiral up as well. That sense of coiling the whole joint. The whole joint. So gotta keep going. Right, and then just working with the hands, the feet, just kind of pressing them out. So again, keeping that sense of a spiral, pressing out. Just playing with kind of shifting the weight there, keeping the shoulders nice and full. So. Working both sides. The main thing with this is think about the posture, the movement being kind of triangular. So the tendency with this is to go into this kind of movement where you end up kind of square on with the hands, and the hands go into like a kind of pushing motion. So think about really getting underneath it, as if the movement's got a kind of sharpness to it. But think about kind of the hands kind of triangulating forward to a point. So there's a kind of feeling of that. And this basically comes from the sword, where it's that same feeling you got in the sword, that sense of the whole body triangulate into a point. The same thing, it's just, it doesn't have that sense of being, you don't be too narrow with the arms, you want to use the width of the body, of the shoulders. I have that sense of there being a kind of point in front of you, you're kind of aiming everything towards. Perfect. Yeah, great. So, okay, we'll just do some simple kind of one, two stepping with it. So this one you're going to roll back, and you're going to start this kind of motion. You're going to roll the arms down, and then you're going to press it through with a step, coiling through. Again, think about kind of placing the body into a triangular position. So you're really using the hand movement. Placing this, you've got to roll back with the hip, and then pressing forward, rolling through. And again, you do this on both sides. So you're kind of rolling back. The main thing to feel here is again, same with sword work. Feel that the hands and the hips are basically connecting, talking to each other. So whatever movement's made with the hip, or whatever movement goes with the hand, is coming from the hip work. So really play with that sense that you're trying to train the hip work and the hand work. So really kind of express the same movement. So you've really got the whole body kind of united behind. Yeah, one idea, one movement. But the key is getting the hips and hands moving with each other, and feeling the kind of hip sockets as really connecting into the handwork. That kind of feeling. Yeah, that's it. And then very similar, but now taking it to a rotation, so you're going to roll with a rotation back, and then press it in. So you're rolling back. This way. This one can be a little more fluid as well. So you're rolling back. That's me. Then trying to connect the hips to the hands. And then the last one, make it really dynamic. So you're going to now think about kind of stepping into the movement. And you can do this really in any angle, but think about kind of stepping into this and then continuing in any direction, but make it kind of dynamic movement. Step into it. feel into it. Ooh. Right. Good. We'll take it into just a little bit of time. Henko, so a kind of specific technique, but really works on that same kind of feeling. So the main thing is works on that sense of being underneath the limb. So working this way, you're stepping into it, feel that you're right underneath it, and then finding the base in it. And just play with kind of switching the side. It's fine. So you've got the extension, dropping in, finding the rotation. Nice, calm. Feel the feeling being underneath all the time. Go. Yeah, and the key thing also this with the position of the feet. So when you do this, really think about the front foot. The back foot's not going to move. That very first movement, the front foot comes in. What you're looking to do with this is drop the body in, and this hand comes to the center line of the body. So that front leg, let it kind of start to come in. So you're starting the rotation, but not losing the back leg. So you're not, for example, doing something like that first and then coming back with it. This will kind of throw you off balance. So what you're looking for later is to kind of affect the person's center. So as they grab you, you affect the center that way. And in order to do that, in this case, you need the back leg grounded, and you're kind of planting the front leg in with the hand. Again, think about the hip and the hand working together. So the hip drops in with the hand, but that back leg's forward, bam, that, and then on the back with the rotation. That footstep's kind of really important for the balance of the body. Yeah. Drop in. Yeah, and then just take this into the shoulder as well. So the shoulder is really important joint as well as the hip, obviously. In this case, especially, so you can get away with this in solo work as well, because no one's there to kind of stop you doing the movement. But just watch in this case, you don't want to do anything where you're going to kind of preload the shoulder and then do this kind of thing. So try and go from this position where you're open, extend into it, connect into the shoulder here with the hip, and then just feel that you can drop into it. So that whole motion in the shoulder, there's nothing happening in the shoulder, it's just kind of draining down into it. So if you'll notice as soon as if you've got a partner that kind of loads up or a movement happens in the shoulder, straight away the connection's kind of lost. So what you're looking for is that connection in, and then just soften the shoulder into it. Soften into it, and then so the shoulder's just in place all the time. Think about it kind of roll back and down through it, and straight into that movement. We don't want any raise at all happening with it. Yeah. That's super. We'll go to 𝒊𝒔𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 whole side of the body. So you think about the shoulder, the hip, the elbow, everything's dropped in. And again, you're looking to bring the body into the center line here, dropping in, and then here, roll into a spiral. Got 1, 2, find that position, and then you're raising it up, dropping it in that way. But that first one is really important, that sense of dropping in the whole structure. The whole structure kind of waves down, waves down. So, that's it. Yeah, that's it, both good. Yes. And again, the key feeling in this, again, it's that famous phrase of Toho is the sense of weight underneath, weight underside. So especially now with the arms, again, get that sense that you're coming under it, but keeping the back of the body full. So you don't want, in this case, to go into this kind of position where you kind of crunch the body down and then kind of pressing down to it. So think about dropping the body in, but keeping the back nice and full, and then you roll into it. So again, fill the whole back as you do these movements. That. But with a special kind of feeling will be underneath the joint, underneath the arm in this case. Again, think about sword work. Everything comes from below. So you've got below, below, below. Yeah. Nice. Good. Right, and just play now with a kind of flexible motion. So you want a continuous movement in that. So really important now is the kind of footwork, working with the hands, so that hands and hips together, rolling in that. So you're slowly kind of driving the body in, and think about kind of going into it as well. So it's a classic kind of entry movement. Yeah, and then entering the whole body through the back. Yeah, so. Nice. Okay, great. Just work with chaining them together now. So you're going to go from the Tainenko into the Murotadori. So listen like this, you go in to the Tainenko. Yeah, and I think about pressing the body back. Yeah, and then dropping into the Murotadori. This, and then from this position, you've got the body back this way. Take the back leg in, just coiling through this way. And then just drop down. Take the other side. So Tainenko, roll back, drop into the Murotadori. And then take the back leg in, coil it through. You've got a nice kind of wide spiral through the last position. And dropping back. So you've got 1, 2, 3. Dropping back. Yeah, again, the main thing, think of the hips and hips and hands really connecting. So all these movements, you want to try and kind of internalize them. These are really easy movements to do in a way like external. So it's basically just the arms kind of moving through it. The body's kind of lagging behind or not really integrated into it. So when you think about, in this case, the hips, hips, release. So every time think of the hips, releasing, hips, releasing, hips, releasing. So that impulse from the ground into the hip, into the hands, that kind of classic Chinese kind of thing. Drawing the power from the ground, express, or driving it into the center and then expressing it out of the hands. This one. Source it in the ground. Let the hip hand connection be kind of primary. Perfect. Great. Take a bookend. Super. Great. We'll just take it into the first word, so nice and calm. Really reaching further back and then dropping into it. Nice, calm cut. Really working that connection, same connection, ground, hip, and ground, hip, and both of those movements, the raise, the cut, it's that same connection. Great. So what the weapons are great for, especially the Vulcan work again, is this idea of the body kind of triangulating. So because you've got the weapon, you've got basically you're channeling everything towards the point of the sword. So really have this idea now, you're like a wedge is passing through the movement, right to the tip of the sword. So try and extend your feeling right out through it. So you can do a movement obviously that's like that, which has a kind of closed feeling. Or you can do a movement which has a bit more kind of sense of expansion. At the same time, I don't want to push the weapon out. So it's not about kind of stretching out and pushing. It's just a kind of extending the feeling out. So you've got a sense of whoa to the front. Whoa to the front. Whoa to the front. So, that's it. Great. So if you go to again those kind of core cue movements, the back leg in that case is really the one that's kind of giving you the base of the movement. So you've got the anchor in the back leg, and that sense of kind of spiraling from the back, spiraling through the back leg, and basically that kind of motion. That you're the same kind of motion here. It's not as exaggerated, but think about here the back hip, especially in the back leg, with a sense of coiling into the ground. So it's going to coil in the back hip. You don't want that back hip to be kind of dead, or just like I kind of lose it and then settle it. At the same time, I don't want to just kind of drop down into the hip, which I'm gonna find is gonna go destabilize the cut, something like that. So find this movement, it's like very slightly, the body goes into it this way. So there's a kind of very tight kind of spiral in the hip work. Very, very tight, but it's coming from that back hip kind of opening. Yeah. That's it. Nice. There we go. Yeah. Great, and then just take it into the front hip as well. So feel it now, that front hip, you want to keep the back hip doing that, and then think about the front hip kind of wedging through. So this is why the hammy is really important, especially for us in terms of the sword work we do in the partner work. You don't want in this case, the foot's kind of drift out, or I end up in a kind of square arm posture like that. So really think about that front hip now, cutting through. So it's got a kind of slicing quality with it. So you've got that kind of movement. So then we're doing like a percussive blow with it. The body's got that sense of cutting into the space and through. So just play that idea again, extending it. Front hip. Front hip. Front hip. That's it. Okay, so taking this into a slightly more of an attack form. The big difference now is you're not reaching the back, and you're just going to land the weight into the front foot. So the timing of the footwork is slightly different. So obviously in the first very basic, you've got the back leg grounded, you're just cutting into it. With this one, you're going to use that feeling, you're going to press from the back leg and cut into the front. Cut into the front. So you're landing the weight in the cut, mostly in that front leg. So you've got one. And then the back leg's just going to kind of drag in and stabilize the back leg. But now you're on a really clean movement in. Continue. Yeah, and again, really focus on this one. The sense you want use this as you want to use this as an attack. You want straight away the body to go in. So the main thing with this is the whole body going bam straight in. What you don't want is any sense that I'm kind of going to pull back and then go with it, or someone's going to kind of lift the leg, roll it, and then fall into it. So really think you're going to use that. You have the pressure in the back leg, and think about really pressing in it, rolling up out of it. So you want that pressure down, and the raise of the sword do the same thing. So the body's going to press down through the foot, raise the sword, and sink that front hip in. Yeah. So you want something really like super direct with it. So you want no signal that I'm about to go in. You want to just go into it. So the idea of just moving. Super tricky, but this is a really nice, simple exercise to do it. That's it, bump. Yeah. Got it. Bump. That's nice. So, yes. Good. Okay, take this into number 5, like you're coming now. So again, work with the same idea. You've also got slightly more of a complex movement, and this time you're stepping in. So the weight's going to shift into the front leg. Step in and find the cut, and you can do a couple, or you can just do one cut. But the key thing here is getting that sense of the sword really working through the ground. So I think that same kind of connection, the ground impulse, the hips. The hands are all kind of communicating with each other. Yeah, and again, a similar point to think about like Moritadori, this idea of like dropping the weight in through the arm, dropping the weight in like in Taneigo, dropping the weight in. Feel that the power move is going to come from the whole body, from especially from this kind of area. So try and feel in this one also, you want the whole body to be going in and the weight landing through the cut. So you want to have a sense of the whole weight of the body is behind the cut on this one. Again, if you think about the kind of practical use of this, not only like attacking, but later in terms of kind of waking through someone's cut, that sense that I need the body weight to be behind the sword. So really make a distinction now between like that kind of movement, which is all in the arms, and something a bit more weighted from the body. The attack's coming from the body, not from the kind of throwing the sword out. Okay, perfect. We'll just take it into number 7. So just want a nice short form to start. So just play with going back into the first suburi, going to here, and then really steady. In this case, again, you've got a slightly different hip work, footwork going into the number 7 for the first. So start nice basic there, yeah. And now coiling through, finding the first this way. Right, and then just take these, blend them into a set. So you do 1, 1, 5, and 7. So it goes something like this. You go to the number 1. Start with 1. Take it into a left side yokomen. 5. To a right side yokomen, and then to a sleep with a 7. Changing the side. So you've got number 1,
1,
5, and then 7. Nice easy set. Again, just really focus on those connections, especially hips to hands. Nice. Okay, great. And then you can set this level, you can take it now to a little bit more of a fluid movement. So the key with this, think about the leg that you're grounding the cut in. So obviously with the first one, nice and easy, you've got both feet kind of grounding in. And then as you go into as you go into 5, you've got the leg plant. You've got the leg plant in the front. So what's key in the yoke-ins now is that transference of the weight. You've got that into the 7. So just play with it, take it slow. Start to kind of blend them in. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to ride each of those cuts. You want to ride off the focus. 2, 3, 4.
How about that?
Okay, yeah, it's quite easy in this now, but you go into flowing to kind of lose the sword. So especially these yoke-ins now, the tendency is for them to kind of drift off and go kind of down, especially the last one. You go into the number 7, starts to kind of drift out with it. So again, think of each of the cuts as being each of the cuts is finished, but you just what you're looking to do, if you go to that first movement, what you're looking to do is blend that into that. So just play here with the idea you fully finish it, but you don't wait at all. So there's no kind of pause with it, but you still want this idea that you're kind of triangulating each of the cuts. So again, think of a kind of practical kind of use of it. You want each of the cuts to have a kind of finality to it, so there's got a kind of wow, but you're trying to instantly feed off it. So just play that you want to straight away, bam, bam, releases.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of idea, but what you don't happen is this, where it kind of dribbles. So especially easy to start to dribble cuts now. And it helps this idea of think of the hips, the hands, the sword, basically pressing out. Same thing with the koku. That's yeah. Okay, great. We'll just finish with one set that's a little bit trickier. So it goes like this. So you've got the same motion with this one. We'll go straight away into kind of an attack form. So you're going in, goes 1, you come up 2, you go through to the left, and then what you do here is step with the right leg, slice across this way. So the full set goes 1, 2 to the top, 3. So that's quite easy. And then from here, stepping with the back leg, slicing across. So you got a slightly trickier version now, right at the end of it. Just do a few kind of in the basic. You've got the forward, 1, left side yokomen, and slicing through the whole body. That's it. I'm going to drive the hips into each of the movements. So the hips drive in, hips drive in, hips drive in, hips drive in. That's it.
I got the top one. It.
Great, and then again, just see if you can take it into a kind of flowing form. So the key thing with this one is actually you've got these two tricky movements, especially this one up and this one out to the side. But again, keep the center, the feeling that the impulse comes from the ground. You've got that to that to that to that. Kind of lurch back a little bit. So what you want to do is again keep the pressure forward, keep the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the feet act like kind of pressure impulse points for the form. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's nice. Yeah, very good. Okie dokie, great. We will. Yeah. Great. どうもありがとうございます。
どうもありがとうございました。
ありがとうございます。
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Very good.